Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up towards the Gothenburg area once again, and as I've told you many a time, Gothenburg is the craft beer city when it comes to Sweden. There's a hell of a lot of really interesting little breweries popping up there these days, and some very good, very well established breweries as well. And it's one of the more established ones that we're going to return to today. You've seen me review a good number of beers from this brewery before, so we're going to go to Jonsered and we're having a taste of another beer from Poppels Bryggeri. So this one is the double IPA, which apparently started its life out in the Project series. You always see me review the new Project beers here on the channel for you, but this one I believe was Project number 1, or Project nummer 1 if you want to put it in Swedish. So it's a double IPA coming in at 8% ABV, and it is a West Coast style IPA, this one. The key giveaway here is the fact that the IBUs are 80. But yeah, this is one that was requested. I honestly cannot remember who it was requested by, but whenever you request beers, I do try to do them, but you know, to be honest, 99% of the time I'm going to forget exactly who has requested this, but it was someone who commented on YouTube that asked if I could take a look at this beer. So here we are, and I'm sure it'll be a good one. It's quite highly rated on Rate Beer and also on Untappd as well, but it's always cool to review the beers that you guys are requesting, so I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one as well. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I'll hopefully be able to do in the future from Poppels Bryggeri. No doubt there will be some more of these with the Project series and things. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Poppels Bryggeri then, on to my brewery notes. So Poppels Bryggeri were originally based in a town called Mölnlycke to the southeast of Gothenburg, but they're now based in Jonsered, which I believe is kind of to the northeast if I'm remembering correctly. But the brewery is named after that which was owned by Johan Poppel, who was a well-known German-Swedish brewer, and he spent most of his life in Varberg, which is a little bit to the south of Gothenburg, and he also spent a good amount of time in Gothenburg city itself. But he was born between 1605 and 1610 in Lower Saxony in Germany, but he moved to Sweden with his family sometime in the 1620s. It was there that he met his wife Katarina Krakow between 1624 and 1628, and later they went on to found Gothenburg's first brewery, officially in 1649. But it is thought they'd been brewing since 1638. But he's also said to have written down the protocol, basically the constitution, if you like, of the city of Gothenburg in Swedish for the first time, as opposed to German. But the brewery apparently remained in the Poppel family for a number of generations, and the most famous site of this brewery in Gothenburg is at Stigbergstorget. So yeah, I need to go and have a look at Gothenburg properly and see where all these historic sites are. But the current incarnation of the brewery was founded back in 2012 in Mölnlycke on a site that was apparently owned by the Poppel family. But the brewery is owned by 15 beer lovers, and it aims to focus on the pairing of beers with different foods. And the current head brewer is Daniel Granat, who's a bit of an experimenter and a perfectionist. He's very well known for sort of reading lots of internet blogs and things like this and brewing his beers 4 and 5 times before he will actually allow them to be released. And so he keeps very up to date with the latest hops and yeasts and malts and things like that. So he is a little bit of a perfectionist, but that means you always get some pretty good beers actually out of Poppels Bryggeri. But in 2015 they moved to a new site in Jonsered out to the east of Gothenburg. I think it's a little bit northeast as well, but this has a restaurant and also a shop as well, and they now boast the title of Sweden's largest organic beer producer as well, which is pretty cool. They are one of the bigger Swedish craft breweries by volume from what I gather, and pretty much you will be able to get a Poppels beer in any Systembolaget that you go to. I think they are exporting over to America and stuff like that now since they moved to their new premises. So yeah, one of the bigger Swedish craft beer names. These guys were one of the first breweries that I encountered when I I first moved over to Sweden, incidentally. But yeah, if you get the chance to try some of their beers, I recommend that you do. If you get the chance to try some of the Project series beers in particular, I would recommend that you have a look at those. As I say, this beer, I think, started its life out in the Project series as Project nummer 1, project number 1, if I'm remembering correctly. But they've done, I think they're up to project number 18 or 19 or something like that now. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about the Poppels Bryggeri just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, of course, you can check out the brewery website in the description below, and of course you can follow them on Facebook. Probably the best beer that I've had from these guys so far was actually the Russian Imperial Stout, so I recommend that you have a go at that one if you get the chance. But yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself then. We can get rid of the brewery notes for the moment. So yeah, as you can see, this one is presented in the kind of standard Poppels livery, artwork, however you like it. So it says on the side here, Ullendeholla på I din hand en dubbel IPA, en ny ölstilskapare av Amerikans mikrobryggerier under 1990-talet. I never can do the numbers right, but it's basically saying this beer that you hold in your hand is a double IPA, a new beer style that was created by American microbreweries around the year 1990. Med en bigger is better mentalitet ökades innehållet av malt och humle jämfört med I en normal IPA. So yeah, basically there's a bigger is better mentality with this one. This beer contains more malt and hops compared with a regular IPA. I en bra DIPA finns balans mellan den kraftiga humlen och den fylliga maltkropp. So it's basically saying in a good double IPA, there's a good balance between the hops, the kind of bitter hops, if you like, or fruity hops, and the sort of full flavoured malt profile, if you like. And Daniel Grant's little quote, because they always put a quote from him on this, he said, "Jag har jobbat mycket med maten för att hitta en bra balans med humlen. Det gör att ölet trots sin kraftiga karaktär upplevs runt och harmoniskt." So it's basically saying here that yeah, I've worked much to find the right balance with the malt profile and the hops, and this gives the beer a really nice crafted character, and basically makes it harmonious all around, if you like to translate that properly. But yeah, the cool thing you always get this little story, but there you can see there's the European Union, what do you call it, the organic symbol there. And the thing you'll always get with these beers as well is that with the Poppels beers, like I said, they're very focused on pairing their beers with food and things like that. So they're saying that this one matches passar mycket bra till Parmesan cheese, barbecue, Mexican food and Indian. So yeah, I have to admit I do enjoy a burrito, so maybe I'll need to get one of these and try that. I maybe need to do that with some of these Poppels beers, do a video with pairing them with different foods and stuff like that. But yeah, there you can see Poppels Bryggeri's bottle cap there, standard one. So let's get it out and we will get on with the tasting then. Most of the beers, of course, are shown in these little stubby bottles that Brewski use as well. I think Brewski were the first to use these, and then Poppels kind of followed soon after. But these are quite good because they're quite easy to recycle. I still do think that glass is the best container for beer, because some of these sealants and things they use in cans, from my knowledge of chemistry, some of them can be a little bit nasty to you in the long term. But yeah, so as you can see with this beer, it's poured a lovely bright golden orange colour. You can see there's a solid finger of a frothy, I would say cream coloured head. That's not a perfect white head on this one, it's a nice kind of creamy coloured head on this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. On opening this bottle up, I wonder if there's Amarillo hop in here. There's a nice big oily juicy orange character coming out of this one. So I suspect there might be some Amarillo in here. I think this beer would have been developed sometime around 2015. If it's Project number 1, I'm sure when I came to Sweden it was Project number 2 was the one that had just been released, so I would think that it's Amarillo in this one rather than Mosaic, which is the other one that can give you these nice orangey flavours. But let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. I always enjoy playing Guess the Hops when it comes to these beers. I think they said on the website that there's about 6 different types of malt in this one, so we'll keep that in mind. But yeah, this one smells really nice. So yeah, straight away with this one, you're going to notice the malt base does have a good presence, but there's something in my mind that makes me want to say that this beer is going to be quite crispy, because the malt base, it doesn't smell so full, if that makes sense. I would suspect that maybe they've used a little bit of Pilsner malt or something in here, and I always find that when they use Pilsner malt, the malt base just almost has this little touch of sharpness to it. In terms of its aroma and indeed its flavour, but I've just got a feeling from the aroma of this beer that it is going to be quite crisp, so we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, you can pick up some nice sort of slightly white, kind of very slightly brown bready notes out of this beer. I would be guessing that it's German malts they've used in this one. Most of the European breweries will use German malts, but they probably, with it when it's organic as well, there's a lot of organic malts produced in Sweden, so it's maybe a mix between German and Swedish malts, in fairness. But yeah, you've got a nice little bit of a white brown bready base to this one. On top of that, you can pick out some of these nice biscuity notes. It reminds me of McVitie's Digestives actually, and then you've got a slightly sweeter but also slightly toasty caramel note coming out of this beer. So yeah, it's really nice how the aroma on this one goes together actually. Yeah, you can smell a little touch of a grainy note to this beer too. There is a little bit of a thing, and I always find this with the organic malts, if you like. They do always smell just a little bit more grainy and almost slightly darker, if you like, than the non-organic malts. But yeah, you can smell a little bit of that graininess in here, but to be fair, in the malt base from this beer you can really pick out all of the things that you would want from it. But yeah, I've just got a feeling about this that it might have a bit of Pilsner malt in there. It does just have this crispness to the malt base, which is interesting. So yeah, on the hoppy side of things then, you've got a nice little tiny touch of earthiness there, but mainly it's a slightly spicy floral aromatic note, and there's a little bit of a lighter grassy kind of thing going on in there as well. You've also got some juicy oranges in there. Like I say, I suspect there might be Amarillo in here. Yeah, I don't think it's Mosaic. It's not quite, it's more oily. The Amarillo orange is a little bit more oily in terms of its aroma and its flavour than the Mosaic is. I would suspect it is more Amarillo that's in this one. But yeah, I think there's definitely some tropical fruit notes to this, like a little bit of mango or passion fruit or something. There's one of the ambulances away from the depot. But yeah, it's got a nice juicy but still oily, fruity note to it. When you sugar the beer up a little bit more, that's when you start to get the mangoes, and and it's almost a little bit passion fruity as well, to be honest with you. Maybe even a little bit of a papaya kind of thing in there. I would want to hazard a guess that maybe there is a bit of citra in here, just because of the way the fruits are coming out, because you can pick up a few of the kind of telltale citra complexities, like the papayas, some of the lychees and things like that too. But to me, mainly the aroma out of this one on the nose is a bit more orangey. I suspect maybe Amarillo and Citra in this beer. And Amarillo's a hop that's been dropping in popularity a bit recently with the release of Mosaic. A lot of people are going to Mosaic now rather than Amarillo, and it's the same with Simcoe. Amarillo's a very straight up orange, Simcoe's a very straight up passion fruit. Amarillo's kind of been replaced with Mosaic, which is tangerines and other complexities, whereas Simcoe's kind of been replaced with Galaxy from Australia because it's passion fruit and then like pineapples and all these other kind of things. So it's interesting how hops have evolved over time, but as I always say, take a little bit of time and just enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But we're going to have a taste of this one. So this one is the double IPA, coming in at 8% ABV rather, from Poppels Bryggeri in Jonsered near Gothenburg here in Sweden. I believe this beer started its life off as Projekt nummer 1. Let's get stuck in. Thank you for the recommendation to whoever it was that gave me this. We'll see how we get on. Slanja, skål. Oh yeah. Yeah, I have to say, that's pretty nice. And that prediction that I had about the malt base having a nice crispness to it in the beginning, it does, and then the sweetness and the smoothness just rolls across your tongue. That's a really nice touch to this beer, to be honest with you. And this is something that's kind of pleasing because, to be honest, this beer, if I'm remembering correctly, you'll see this pretty much in any Systembolaget that you'll go into. So it's quite nice to have, and it's just something that never clicked in my head. I've been complaining on a lot of the videos recently that the West Coast IPAs have been pushed aside in favour of the New England ones, but this is a West Coast IPA that's pretty damn good, I have to say, and it's really widely available. So if you are missing the big IBUs and the slightly sweeter IPAs, then this is one that should be readily available to you if you are watching from Sweden, so keep that in mind. This is a nice beer, it gets a thumbs up from me. Yeah, I really like that, how it starts off with a little bit of Christmas, but then the malt base really, it just smooths out absolutely beautifully. So yeah, with this beer then, you can feel that nice sort of bready quality, it just blankets the middle of your tongue. And on top of that, the more and more that you drink of this one, the more sweet that it becomes. You've definitely got a nice little bit of a biscuity malt to this one. There is a bit of a grainy presence to this beer, and that comes out the further you go into the aftertaste. But in the very centre of your palate, you've got a nice, slightly oily, almost syrupy brown sugar note to this one. And as you move out from the centre of your palate, you've got a nice, kind of more biscuity. You do have a nice, a bit more of a kind of biscuity, McVitie's digestive sort of malt base to this one, which is nice. Which I like how this malt base goes together. It really is very nice. Like I say, it has an element of crispness to it in the beginning, but then it's almost just like it smooths across your tongue. It just rolls across your tongue, and you start to get these lovely sweet notes out of the beer. Yeah, I really like how this one goes together. I mean, to me, there's 6 malts in this one, but I think the balance of them is that good that it feels, the malt base almost feels quite simple and straightforward. And obviously, you know, Daniel's put a lot of work into balancing this thing out. And I think it fits together that well that it really feels, you know, pretty straight up and pretty simple. So I mean that's an interesting perspective to take on it. That actually it does say on the side here that there is wheat malt in this one, and that would maybe explain a bit of the smoothness that the malt base has, because wheat always gives you this lovely smoothness. So like I say, you've got a nice bready note, white bready note there on the base. As you go further into the aftertaste, the middle of your palate dries out a little bit and you get more of a kind of grainy note to it, but then you've got the very sweet caramelly notes in the middle of your palate. I do wonder if they've maybe used some two-row malts in here. That would be interesting, because it does have this nice biscuity, slightly caramel wafery, bready sort of thing going on, but the malt base is really nice, so that gets a big thumbs up from me. And that's the thing I always loved about the West Coast IPAs, was how you got that balance between the fruits and the sweet kind of caramel malt bases and things like that. But this is a really nice beer. I can see why it was recommended to me. So again, to whoever did actually recommend this beer to me, a huge thank you. It's nice to be pointed in this direction. It really does hit the spot for me as a West Coast double IPA. On the hoppy side of things then, yeah, on the edge of your tongue then, at the sides, back corners of the palate, teeny little bit of earthiness there. As you come further forward, the earthiness is very smooth incidentally, and you start to notice a bit more the further you go into the aftertaste, and it kind of builds a good bridge between the grainy notes that this beer has. But then it's very smooth, and as you come further forward along the sides of your tongue, it's got a little bit more of a kind of floral aromaticity to it. I do wonder if perhaps they've maybe used a little bit of Columbus or something in the base of this, because it does have quite a distinctive sort of spicy floral aromaticity to it. I don't think, the other one would be Chinook. I mean, Chinook was always very popular as a bittering hop along with Columbus. And the main difference between the two is that Chinook is quite piney and resinous, and in fairness, this beer does have a little bit of the kind of darker notes that you would expect from Chinook. But it's got a little bit more of the kind of spiciness that you would expect from Columbus. They might use both right enough, but it's interesting to think about that. So along the sides of your tongue, there's definitely this sort of floral aromatic spice. It's maybe even a little touch resinous, to be honest. But around the front curve of the palate, the beer is nice and light and grassy, and then behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get the nice oily bubble, where those juicy, fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. And this is where the double IPA has come alive for me. Yeah, this is nice. It is nicely balanced, this. So in that oily bubble, at the very back of the palate, you might pick up like a little touch of the darker grapefruit, passion fruity, kind of tropical notes there. But in front of that, for me, it's all about the orangey notes, I think. There's something in my head that just says this is really orangey. I think, you know, I do suspect Amarillo. I do think there's Amarillo in this because the oranges are really nice and oily in this one. I think there might be a little touch of Citra in here as well. Because when you go to the very front of your palate, you can start to pick out, there is an element of mango to this one underneath, but you've got some nice lychee notes in there. There's almost a little touch of a kind of limey note, which you can get from Citra as well. The other hop for that, of course, would be Equinaut. Equinaut gives you this lovely limey quality, and I think it's Waiiti in New Zealand, from New Zealand, that gives you that too, but I think this is more likely to use American hops. But yeah, you've got this nice, juicy, fruity quality to this one. Like I say, passion fruits at the back of the tongue, oranges in front of that, a little touch of mango, and then you've got some lychee and sort of more limey than lemon-limey notes, I would say. So yeah, I mean, this beer really has kind of everything that you would want from a double IPA. It's got a really nice oily fruity character, it's got a nice sweet malt base, and it's got a little bit of the hoppy bitterness as well. I don't know if I would have guessed that this one was 80 IBUs. I might have thought it was like 70 or something, but it's interesting that the nice floral spicy note in there, and in fairness you do have a little bit of the graininess contributing to that as well. But this is a really nice double IPA, and like I said, the pleasing thing about this one is that it's so widely available, and I've been complaining about the lack of West Coast IPAs recently, but this one's available in pretty much every Systembolaget store here in Sweden, and it's really pretty good. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I'd say that this beer it's kind of at the bottom end of full body. It's got a nice big smooth but oily mouthfeel. Yeah. That's nice. I mean, you do have this nice, big, oily, smooth mouthfeel to this one, which I think is very, very nice. As I say, good little bit of hoppy bitterness to this one. They're saying 80 IBUs. I wouldn't have guessed that on blind taste. I would have maybe thought it was around 70. But in fairness, in the aftertaste, you can really feel the sort of resinous, spicy, floral qualities pushing their way out of this one. So I can see that. Malt base has a really good balance between between a sort of smooth quality, a little bit of graininess in the aftertaste, but it really starts to lean more towards the sweetness, which you would expect from a big boozy beer like this at 8%. And you've also got some really nice juicy fruity notes. I find the fruit to be quite oily in this one. So have a go at this one and just and see what you think. I mean, this is a really nice West Coast IPA, and I can see why it's quite so highly rated on Rate Beer and Untappd and stuff like that. So have a go at it for yourself and see what you think. But we'll leave it at that for just now. If you like the orangey IPAs, then this is one I think that's going to hit the spot for you, because it mainly is orange, but just with a little bit of a tropical fruit, kind of complexity to it, if that makes sense. But yeah, a really nice double IPA, this one, and I'm glad that I was able to review this one for you. Thank you for the recommendation, whoever it was that gave me this one, and I hope you enjoy the review. But yes, thank you again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Poppels Bryggeri as well, and I'm sure we'll return to these guys in the fairly near future with more of their project series. Until the next time, Slanger just now, and I'll catch you guys later. The double IPA at 8% from Poppels Bryggeri in Jonsered, just outside of Gothenburg. Slanger, skull.